Hello, it's Charles Fockaert on January 23rd, 2018. I welcome all of you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And a big thanks for your support. I was able to order a 4 terabyte hard drive, USB hard drive, and it's on the way. I thank you very much. I'm going to be able to put these videos and all this work on that hard drive. It's gonna be really nice, and I want to thank you because that was ordered with your support. Also, I want to thank you. Got up this morning. I slept in a little bit. I got up at 4:56. Just kidding. And it's a little nippy out here. It's getting warmer during the day, but it's a little nippy in the morning, and I had to turn the heater on and the power generator because the battery had run down. So the power generator's running and the heater's been on and off, and I want to thank you for your support. I'm wearing winter clothing. I'm wrapped up, and but the sun's about to come up. It's 6:33. The sun's been coming up earlier, not coming up, coming my way. We're level plain earth. It's not coming up. We're not spinning, folks. It's coming my way to the east here, southeast. And it's great to be alive. I feel good today. I had a lot of rest and relaxed a little bit, and doing a lot of reading. I want to show you one book I'm reading. I mentioned it the other day. George Orwell's. His real name was Eric Alfred Blair, I believe. And man, we are in 1984. We are in 1984. And a while back I read Fahrenheit 451, Mr. Bradbury. Man, I wish I could write like these guys do, but we'll get into Orwell's 1984 on another video. This video, I want to talk about vain imaginations. But before we get there, I want to show you the emails I sent yesterday to the Canadian officials that can have an influence or can have a part in releasing Monika Schaefer. I was at the library. I was able to send a couple emails. I want to show you what those emails said. So let's go have a look at that, shall we? Okay, they're addressed to the Honorable Stephen Dion and the Honorable Chrystia Freeland. And the first thing I do is I ask them, surely you've read George Orwell's 1984. See, I like to ask them questions because then you get their attention. Then I go on, why is the Canadian government allowing elements within the German government to imprison Monika Schaefer for her thought crime on the alleged Jewish Holocaust? And this is a link here to the video I produced, and they'll be able to go watch that if they want to. And then I ask them, have you researched the alleged Holocaust for yourself, or are you relying on what you've been led to believe? There's another question. The real Holocaust was the Allied bombing of Dresden. Having fully investigated the hoax, and this is a link to the book that I have, and I have more than one, but this is one of the better ones by, I think it's Arthur Butts, the Myth of the 20th Century, and that's the Holocaust, of course. And I find it outrageous that the Canadian government is allowing this travesty of justice. And here's another question. Wasn't it bad enough for the German Jews to imprison Ernest Zundel for 7 long years for an opinion on a historical event that never happened? And then I finish with, what are you doing to stop this outrageous injustice? Thank you sincerely, Charles Fockaert, with a copy to Mr. Werner Wendt. So this is the email I sent to Werner Wendt. It's pretty much the same, but I made a couple of changes here, and because it's a different individual, he's actually German, I believe. And then I ask him, why is the German government allowing elements within the German government to imprison Monika Schaefer for her thought crime regarding the alleged Jewish Holocaust? And then, as you can see here, it's pretty much the same, except I added Germar Rudolph being in prison. And then I ask him, what is he doing to stop this outrageous injustice? And these are links here, Ernest Zundel and Germar Rudolph, to other sites. And then again, my video. You know, I want to caution you on to not be impressed by numbers. Do not be impressed by numbers. God is not concerned with big numbers. In fact, the smaller the number, I think the more God likes it. Alrighty? Yahweh is not concerned with big numbers, and we shouldn't be either. The reason I bring that up is I wonder how many Judeo-Christian pastors are out there encouraging their, quote, congregation or their flock to send emails to the appropriate officials in the Canadian and the German government to free Monika Schaefer for having an opinion on something that never happened. I wonder how many. What do you think? How many? Huh? I'll tell you how many. 0. That's how many are getting people, and that's why we face an uphill battle, because too many people, the majority of the American people, are brainwashed. Go watch some videos. I watched yesterday. I watched a few just to be entertained. There's a lot more people now doing interviews on the street asking Americans certain simple questions. Somebody asked them, what country is the Panama Canal in? I swear to God, they didn't know. Okay? They didn't know. And then they asked them, how many flags are on the American, how many stars are on the American flag? And they didn't know, folks. They didn't know. These are young people that didn't know. Simple questions. I can't remember some of the other ones, but, you know, and I've said this many times, the American people are not only ignorant, they're stupid, and their leaders are insane. And I'm not doing Illuminati stuff, so you shills, I noticed a lot of the shills are gone now. They, when you call them on their stupidity, they don't want to come around anymore. You know, and I got this mime yesterday from Tall Oak, and I want to share it with you. This is so relevant today. I got to show it with you. I got to show it to you. Here we are. It says, a time will come when instead of shepherds feeding the sheep, the church will have clowns entertaining the goats. And that's by Charles H. Spurgeon. You know, there's a certain Israelite identity self-appointed leader out there that loves to call other people clowns, and yet it appears to me, this is my opinion, that he's acting like a clown. He's acted like a clown in the past, and he's airing his dirty underwear in public. And folks, quite frankly, the clowns aren't only in the Judeo-Christian churches, they're everywhere, and there's a lot of things going on that shouldn't, in my opinion, shouldn't be found in a mature Israelite identity. It's the word I want. Gathering or group. Okay, we're tending to migrate and separate according to a leader, and we're not uniting because a lot of egos involved, I believe, and I'm going to talk about that here. In fact, I'm probably not even going to get to the main topic I want to talk about. We'll have to do that on another video. I do mean to get to that because it is important. It relates to the video I did earlier. Coffee. Excuse me while I take a sip before it gets cold. The sun, it's 6:49. The sun is just about ready to come up over that hill over there. It's going to be a nice day today. There's no geoengineering yet that I can see, but they'll come out. They always come out. Every day I see them. Back to the topic here, which was, let me think about what it was. Oh, yes. Let's go have a look at a scripture verse in Proverbs, shall we? And as I've mentioned many times in previous videos, that I make it a habit to read one chapter of Proverbs every day. Today's the 23rd. This happens to be on the 27th. But see, if you do this every month, where you go through every day through a chapter a day, over a period of many years, you run over the same verse and the same idea, the same wisdom, the same knowledge, and more importantly, the same wisdom, and it becomes a part of your life. And then when you run into a situation, this verse will come to mind. And that's what a lot of these leaders don't do, I don't think. And after a 40-plus years of this habit, it begins to sink in. It takes that long, folks. And this is a verse that comes to mind all the time. Iron sharpeneth iron. You've probably heard it many times. You probably didn't know where it was, but here it is. Iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend. And the word iron there is as cutting. Alrighty, it keeps the other piece of iron sharp. And iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. And that word there is associate, a brother, a companion, a fellow. That's how it's translated in the King James: a brother, a companion, a fellow, a friend, a husband, a lover, a neighbor, etc. Now, I don't know about you, but I like to carry a pocket knife with me all the time. This is a buck knife I've had for years and years. And I like, these are Kershaw. I like a different knife for different applications. And the one knife I carry the most is this one here. It's a Kershaw. Very easy to open, very smooth, and it locks in. And I like to keep a sharp edge because you can get hurt with a knife that's not very sharp easier than you can with a sharp knife. Okay, that's just been my experience. And the point I want to make here is that you want to keep an edge on your knife. And having a knife that's not sharp in your pocket, you might as well not even have it. Would you agree with me on that? And the point I want to make here is that a lot of these leaders, they don't want people hanging around. They don't want to hang around with people that they don't agree with or don't agree with them. And I think that's a mistake. I personally think that's a mistake. Wait a minute, sun's coming up. I'm going to have to adjust the shade here. Hold on. So they got around them. They get a group of men and women around them that never disagree with them, and if they disagree with them, they get the boot. That's happened to me with this leader who likes to call people clowns. He didn't like the fact that I didn't agree with him, and it was going to be his way or the highway, and I took the highway because I don't think that's scriptural. But that's just one example. And there's a lot of, quote, Christian leaders out there that don't like anybody to question them or what they think or or their opinion or their views or their Weltanschauung. And that is what's going on in the Judeo-Christian churches, and that's why there's so many problems there, folks. Same things happen in the Israelite identity sphere, if you will. Excuse the pun. And I think that's a mistake. You know what? You can ask a question, and that doesn't mean you don't know the answer. I ask a lot of questions because I want to find out what you think. And a lot of people think if you ask a question, you're stupid and you don't know the answer to the question. Oh, no, 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 no. And a lot of people, and I've noticed in my lifetime, have underestimated yours truly, probably because I stutter and I'm shorter than the average guy, or for whatever reason. And I kind of like the Columbo approach, if you will. And a lot of people, a lot of leaders, they don't want to show any sign of being human or being of not knowing the answer, or they want to come across like they never make a mistake and they don't need anybody else, and etc. You know what I'm saying? You know, have you noticed this? There's a lot of people who'll say, you know what, I'm only human. I make mistakes. I'm not perfect. And then when you point out to them their imperfections or a mistake you think they may have made, instead of saying, yeah, you know what, you're right, I should change my view, I should rethink what I'm doing there, or I'm going to give your thought or your idea some consideration. Instead of taking that approach, you know what they do? They get upset. And they get upset at you for simply pointing out the fact that they're not perfect and they're not without mistake and they're not without error. They get mad. They're getting upset at the wrong person, in my opinion. I think that's a mistake, folks. I think we need to associate with people who don't agree with us. It keeps us sharp. And I see a lot of people out there, I see a lot of leaders that are pretty dull. So I'm going to end it there. There's a lot more I could say. There's something going on. There's I don't want to say it that way. There's a Barry Sherman. There's a few things going on there that have indicated that I think I was correct. I don't want to go into that any further here. I do want to thank you. There's other things I could talk about. Trump. No, I'm just going to cut it here, folks. I'm going to cut it here. We're going to leave it at that. I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for subscribing. And thank you for supporting this channel. And may the grace of God, our Father Yahweh, may His grace be upon us all, because we certainly need it. See ya.